Alright, let's crack into this issue of Metal Hammer UK. November of 2024 with Poppy on the fucking cover. Something about Sleep Token. There's some more stuff in here worth checking out. Like Mummies, Iron Maiden, Opeth, the Black Dahlia Murder, Within Temptation, and of course the coveted album reviews that make it all worthwhile. Those quirky little sentiments added into the mix for the advertisements that they have here for the new albums coming out. There's going to be some shows coming up that I'm going to tell you guys about, all UK, including the likes of Dying Fetus, Lacuna Coil, Soil, Cradle of Filth, and I'm going to brush over briefly the new Cradle of Filth album and its upcoming release, as well as the new track just released and the music video to go along with it. Those album reviews should be pretty much like the only thing to look forward to in the issue, as it looks like we're going to cover Oransii Pazuzu, Opeth, Soulfly on that front, and articles with some of these guys. So then let's crack into this one. Crack open yourself a brew, kick back, and check out the November 2024 issue of Metal Hammer UK with me. Are fucking tuned in to the right show tonight. If you have chosen Vault of Doom podcast to get your metal news. I am your host for this episode. My name is Mickey GemInEye, and this is Cradle of Filth's newest release that came as quite a pleasant surprise, literally a very pleasant surprise, that I'm just scrolling down my suggested videos that this thing pops up, as I haven't had time to really check my subscribers and all the new updates that come and show up on there. So I found this on suggested videos, and likewise, my mind being trained the way that it is made me comment on it just as though I was somebody that stumbled across it from my suggested videos, as I did stumble across it on my suggested videos. But this is an album that is long awaited by many fans. This album is a really big deal. This band is a really big deal. And it's just already got 2,500 likes, 34,000 views as of 3 days ago when it was released. And having read the description and how it's very concise here, that it just has the band members' names on here, not what instruments they play. All the lyrics are of the frontman's creation, and the mastering engineer being somebody that I might want to keep an eye on in the future and see if that's going to be who's producing the future albums. I doubt it, though. I just have my doubts, considering that they have a lot of variety added into most of their stuff. So having the not ability to play this track, all I can do is really just throw in my 2 cents really quickly and just still try to ask myself this, that the Orchard Enterprises and whatever that is, something to look into. But when I go off on my discoveries and try to find out like who Orchard Enterprises is, I'll want to come out of there finding an artist to interview and host on the show. As I've always known for freaking having fucking just a variety added in here, like actually relevant questions added in here to the fucking artists. So this shit, it should be pretty good if I find an artist in there that I want. I mean, having actually this band on there is ideal, but I just don't, for some reason, I just don't want to. For some reason, as much as I like this band, I don't want to reach out. It's not a matter of reaching out at all. It's just a matter of like focusing on discovering all these other new artists right now anyway. So I'm cool with just interviewing who I am interviewing right now and then working with that. But this album, in the comments on Instagram and here on YouTube, full of everybody saying the same thing, of this thing that they're all saying that I don't even want to repeat, but I sort of have to, and that's just simply of it sounds like this track at least sounds like Thornography, sounds like it has the catchiness of Thornography, sounds like a Midian. You know, everybody's constantly saying the same thing. I commented saying I just think that each one of their creations has its own specific one. And it goes for all artists. It's not just because they're my favorite band that I'm saying this. It's all artists that have that unique sound to each track that you should, I would hope that I'm encouraging you to pay attention to try to find those unique sounds. It's very important to emphasize that as similar as it might be, I take that for like a grain of salt and just literally a pinch of salt and throw it off to the side. Throw that pinch of salt off to the side and not care that much about it. Where it's like, as a backup plan, if I didn't have anything else to say, I would say something like that. But just not really that important to try to say that it has all these vibes compared to the similar sounds of previous albums. It just kind of, I feel like, would rob you of the experience of the awe and mystique that these type of big juggernauts can really provide for you when they make this art. But as for the actual art, I mean, it has me really confused over here. I can't see the face. I don't like the art. At first impression, I don't like the artwork on the first take. It sucks too, because it's like now I have to force it to just grow on me and force myself to like it later. I'll like it later when I attach some memories to it and create it as a soundtrack to some cool stuff that I'm doing later, like fucking, you know, whatever I'm doing, and then I'll start liking it later. But I just don't like that you can't make out what the face is. A double eye, it's like 4 eyes, something in the center that's like an eyeball, some sort of a, you know, like everything's doubled up, double arms, you know, standing on the skulls, and then the kind of dualistic style of the arms reaching out. I mean, it's really cool, obviously, with the colors, and then the color scheme chosen on here, that's really good. And then the tint, you know, like the contrast, the shading and all that. The artwork, the person who did the artwork doesn't seem to have any credits here in the description, so I'd have to be doing that as an episode in scouting out who did the artwork for this, as it's clearly not AI. I mean, these guys aren't, if they did use AI, it's an AI combined with, that's the kind of artists that these are, that they would use AI and then just combine it with something original. But it's really something to look into, really something to look forward to. And with that introduction of the episode, let's get into this fucking episode here of what we have on the artists and everything on here. Aha! The song of the introduction is already there. I'm like my own AI. I'm like literally my own fucking AI. Like I'm like making the music is already laid out there for the theme song. The music is already there for the interlude, and then I have no reason to sing songs. There is no excuse whatsoever for singing a song at any point in time. The theme song is already there. The interlude music is already there. There is no need to sing any more music at all. There's no... humanity will lose interest in music itself, is evidently what I'm led to believe here on this... what I'm led to believe, or driven or led, is where I'm going to go to next. I'm certain that what I just said is set in stone. I just said it. That is leading me to be a dreadful, my word is law type figure. From, did I say it like this? Was it said like this? I don't know. You know, the cat from Alice in Wonderland whose head spins around and his teeth are gigantic and he's laughing at me. Well, I am Mickey GemInEye, but I'm not sure though. I'm not quite sure if that's who I am though. But I'll wait around until there's real competition. There's a whole Spiegelsporgen, a whole Spiegel for a whole Schnitzelplatz for you to freaking get into, sink your teeth into, about whether, you know, there's just something, let it pass, I'll just let it go. Anyway, then, just a quick reminder again, in case you forgot, I am Mickey GemInEye, and let me just wait around again for you to freaking hear what I had to say, because I think I let something go, lost my train of thought, and then, you know, and just on an endless loop now of repeating who I am and repeating my name. It's quite interesting. I'll let that go. I see another one presented coming my way, like a distant ship arriving at the shore, and I'll let that one go too. As I, third person, first person, 57th person, whatever person. This is a show. It's a show. So the shows are for entertainment, and it's got an introduction, and that introduction actually while I'm doing the introduction, I'm gonna arrange and organize and tidy up a bit. Let me tidy up. This is Vault of Doom. Let me tidy up a little bit here. Tidy up my space here in the Vault of Doom. That I'm tidying up my space here a little bit while I'm waiting to do the introduction. Give a proper introduction. Of course, proper being one of those things, one of those words, and that I'll try to avoid, and until eventually I'm just avoiding the actual thing of being proper. You know, essentially that's might be where I'm at, the Vault of Doom. And then, you know, just tidying up. I'm literally tucking my shoelaces into my shoe right now. I'm so tidy, and that I am that distinguished, and I am that refined, and I'm probably even that esteemed. I'm pretty sure I'm so distinguished and refined. Mickey GemInEye, you're so distinguished and refined. You're even that esteemed. Many critics will give you that enough credibility to where you will be. I heard enough. I've had it. Enough. That sounded so good. If only I could just believe what I am saying. Well, then maybe at that point in time I might have made some headway on the Space Jam aliens that are just little tiny people that want to take over the world. And well, unfortunately that's strike 3. So that's actually, you know, that's where that's where the introduction actually occurs finally. And with of course, the way that it started here, oh, more introduction music. Let me add some more introduction music. I actually want to. I haven't finished. I finished tidying up. Now I want to make sure that everything's looking good, and that it's looking the way that I need it and stuff. And hey, no problem, no worries. I totally understand. I say to myself. I say. And there's strike 3. Out, you're out. I'm out. We're out. Everybody's out. Everything's whatever. Tra la 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 is what I say to this madness of having the freaking introductory drum roll, please. Drum roll and cue the introduction music and the interlude music and the whatever music. And is this thing on? Am I recording right now? Microphone check. Anyway, so I'm Mickey GemInEye. This is Vault of Doom. We're going to talk about Metal Hammer UK's November issue on the digital copy here. So there's the cover. You heard that on the intro. There's another introduction here. Let me do another introduction for that. Every time that I'm feeling like I'm comfortable doing this, I'm just going to power through it. I'm just going to straight up power right on through it. So whatever, I don't know. I've been doing a lot of reintroductions. That's been actually severely interrupting the quality of me doing this show. That I just keep having to continuously reintroduce myself over and over again. It's a bit of a hindrance for somebody who's constantly, literally reinventing himself like me. But I remember a buddy of mine. That guy said I like extremes, and then here it is on the cover of Metal Hammer UK. Wow, that's crazy. That machine is whatever. So anyway. I look at a friend of mine said this, so it's on the cover, and I have to acknowledge it, and I just did. So, next up here we have the fucking the content that I'm providing here. So, let me get into that with the official content. I'm the official host of this official show, and here's the official content. Just going to be commentating on this magazine a little bit, hopefully providing some insight for you if this is something that interests you, and these guys have always been really good at appealing to me and my Anglo-Saxon tendencies. But unfortunately, for however good this may turn out, you saw me tidying up and you saw me putting my sunglasses on, and I had some troubles yesterday and last night. Whatever. Put it in there anyway, I say. Just put it right on in there. It is not that big of a deal. I'm just reading a fucking magazine over here. Anyway, as for the fucking editor's letter, let's give it a read. She's Poppy. Poppy's been on the scene for a decade, and yet we still don't know much about her. She started out as a pastel-clad YouTuber making strange videos and simply proclaiming, "I'm Poppy." Since then, she cycled through aesthetics and sound, smashing genre boundaries and refusing to conform to, well, anything, as well as becoming modern metal's go-to guest vocalist. This issue, Danny Levers goes inside her exciting, confounding, and ever-changing world. But if you're looking for something more traditional from your metal, then worry not. We've got you covered with a huge celebration of Iron Maiden's epic Power Slave album, complete with frozen banana daiquiris and mummy mayhem. As we went to press, we received the sad news that our friend metal publicist Michelle Kerr had passed away. Behind the scenes, Michelle devoted her life to working with their favorite bands, including titans such as Slipknot and Machine Head, helping to bring them to these very pages and beyond. Read what they had to say on page 8 and head to metalhammer.com for a full tribute. We miss her dearly. Stay metal. L.E.L. For Eleanor Goodman, the editor of this magazine, pictured right here, acknowledging her, doing everything wrong, blah 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 blah, whatever. We briefly brushed over this in the photographs and the teaser for this episode. So here now in the actual episode, I would like to just get to the actual guts and the essence and the content of the magazine, so that I can actually adore and actually appreciate and consume my own content, so to speak, or at least be aware of the content that I'm making. Or no, that doesn't sound right either. At least observe. Maybe not. No, observe is definitely not the word either. Well, whatever it is, it's simply just I want to be able to see what I'm making, as I have been lately, and also doing some of the changes towards that. It literally is cause for, like, just, you know, when the feedback starts coming in and people start saying things about it, that, you know, I'm going to have a whole stage of time where I'm just accepting every bit of feedback that I get without really even saying much at first. I'm not even going to really be able to say much for a while. So this is where I say something like, she was, quotations, quotes here for a totally new article. No, same article. So I have to just readjust here, go to the next article of the Hot Topics section with Heads Up, Iron Maiden. Not going to read about Iron Maiden. I'm so utterly biased against all classic rock, all classic metal. I'm so biased, where I have a whole comment, a whole section of commentating and something to comment and something to say about that I would rather not leave behind. However, I'm leaving it behind. So these other ones that I'm going to read into is going to be where, you know, things always work out pretty good for the at the pace that I'm going, at the momentum that I'm going, and flipping through these pages and talking at different on different topics and on different contexts. Things usually work out just fine. Hammer stereos on the side here. We got Slayer coming up after that, so I'm gonna skip over that. And it says, what's been blowing our office speakers, that the quotes from the there's quotes from the editor, quote from the reviews editor, production editor, art editor, staff writer, associate editor on a few albums that we have, like Linkin Park being about the only one I'm going to choose to read out of that, and it's literally one sentence. Computer said no for the London show, so a party in my living room it is. About hybrid theory. Just computer said no to the London show. I just have a question there that I can kill some time with and be like, so that means the person organizing the event is a computer? Or, okay, I get it. That's good. That's good to kill some time there. Really good idea to kill time there. Now I know, now I understand the words that this person spoke. I think that's one of the most important fucking things in the entire world of human existence, is that I can read something, and not only can I read something, that I can read something and understand what they're saying. They're saying it like computer said no. They're reading the computer said no. But traversing over here, Slayer being one of my bias. Just always has been one of my bias. I'd love to commentate on that right now, but I'll probably even just lead that up to later for a piece of original content that you can find within this content, full of somebody else's words, everybody else's opinions, and then the occasional, if you can keep up with me, finding how I'm keeping up with that pace or something like this. The next section's labeled the Slay List with Diana Leah, the Delane, the vocalist for the band Delane, tracing the roots and video game soundtracks, EDM, and nostalgic metal faves. Well, I'll probably keep on going through there. I mean, it's like I have to keep going. I'm looking for specific stuff. I have to keep going, and I have to be a little bit of a robot in that sense. But that's what I'm gonna do, because it's just kind of how I am. So, Bloody Wood, being a band that is in India, from India, and then have that interesting aesthetic, be something that caught my eye over 10 years ago. They have been building their way up in the game in a very big way. As a side note, too, I want to make sure that I'm referencing this YouTube channel that I've found and been watching, where they sometimes will have themselves in a tour bus being MTV cribbed on their tour bus. It's called Digital Tour Bus, DTB, where you'll find all kinds of new stuff. It's based out of here, where I am right now. And when these guys were there, they were just in a van, and they were like, this is our cool thing and all that. And then I'm straying from doing some of the commentating that I normally do, but commenting on projecting an authentic opinion and projecting the importance of projecting an authentic opinion that I have is, at least as of now, it's not a touchy, sensitive subject. As of right now, you're not really free to talk about too much nowadays and then get any recognition. But you are free to talk about something in a really short span of time. Really, really, really short span of time. Like, I think it's cool that they're on a van. I think it's humble, or something like that. You know, if I could only just articulate the stuff properly or whatever, but this is my version of properly, so I just did it properly my way right now. But it's humble. It's cool. They're in a van. Whatever. But there's an article here that somebody else wrote. Getting into it and then coupling these things together is where I say that unfortunately that context of that thing and that authentic commentating that I was talking about, I just said it right now. So there's nothing really to look forward to later. Nothing to look forward to at all. Just give up. What's the point? What's the point of anything? These words are really small. These letters are really, really small. New Delhi's new metal folk hybrids say they're going bigger, bolder, and better on album number 2. Long before Bloody Wood released an album, they were a viral hit. Formed in New Delhi in 2016, their unique blend of new metal and Indian music helped attract interest to their covers of pop and metal songs. When 2018's Ari Ari blew up, the track currently has more than 7.2 million views on YouTube. They switched to focus on original songs. The core trio of vocalists, Karen Attire, Jayat Badula, and Raul Kerr, now also drawing heavily on Indian folk music. I'm gonna basically, I guess, summarize most of these until I find one to stick on. Squid Game style, I guess. Life lessons is the next section, because the last one about Bloodywood in the studio with them, that's just about them getting bigger, and this is a photograph of them in the studio recording vocals. Carl Sanders, the Nile frontman, shares his wisdom on ancient Egypt, the genesis of death metal, and fighting Russian Orthodox Christians in an airport. So there's going to be some cool stories in here. There's going to be something interesting about ancient Egypt, if you're interested in ancient Egypt. And a quote that's available here for a quick read. A quick read is, the pit was like a gigantic swarm of apes running around throwing feces. Faces is a cool way to spell feces. I guess now I know how to correctly spell feces. I'll have to make sure that I, as a robotic half man, half machine cyborg, can use that information accordingly, as I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to write feces a few more times if I have any interest in doing any more experimenting with any more death metal projects. I'll probably be writing feces, and then with the current project that I'm working on right now and the current actual genre that I actually do, I'll probably have to write feces like once or twice. Basically anything at all that's presented my way. It's just, yeah, I'll probably have to use that like once or twice. I'm not going to be needing that much of a build-up of anything. Speaking of build-up, I know what you're thinking, guys. Let's get to the point. Let's get somewhere where you can settle, where I can add in on the show notes, like, at this time stamp, you can settle in. You could just fast forward to this part of the timestamp and then just settle in, or something like that. That's another attack at the quality of the content I'm making. A personal attack that I'm personally providing for myself personally. That I'll say something like this, where it's like, well, why not just fucking cut everything else out except for what I think the timestamp? I would want every second of it all to be completely watchable and for you to relax and kick back. And it's like, I mean, as it stands right now, I'm just like watching myself squirm about this. And that's all that really is. Then it's like, well, at this point, I'm just really just watching. I'm just doing it to piss myself off and watch myself squirm. Really, there isn't any value on either side over here from the whole ordeal. So maybe the actual thing that's actually going down being the sufficient winner and the superior victor in this little internal game and internal battle, as I sit here and work out my mental problems on camera for you guys, that I can even just go ahead and make that go kaput too, in case you're worried about dropping any of those kind of comments as well. Well, by the end of it, there'll just be absolute nothing there. It'll just be completely emptiness, devoid of all things. Sounds about right. It sounds good. That sounds exactly like what I want. Well, that's about all that I have for that side of me. Let me feed the other side here. Don't forget about the other side. Carl Sanders and his reiteration here, a band Nile, and their cool stories in ancient Egypt. It's just gonna be mostly a summary issue, I guess. Seeing Poppy on the cover is probably what's making me make this a shorter one. Even if this winds up being a 90-minute episode, it's still shorter than any of the other the other ones in this series. When there's enough of these, I can add like a whole series, and then I could start right now and just say, add the series of I'm covering a digital copy of a magazine, and then had the series there where I could go, all my magazine series are in one convenient playlist. Nice, cool, awesome. And that's really all that that's really all that it boils down to. In case I want to continue making this a serious thing. Like I was saying, I am making this way too serious. I'm making this way too big of a deal. I started making this episode last night, and I did the introduction, and that's all great and all, but it's like having each episode be this far apart from each other is gonna just make Poppy happy, and she's just like a fictional pixelated silhouette on my Chinese-made plastic rectangle. But that's ultimately true. Like, this is what's gonna make her happy. She likes extremes. Let me feed Poppy or something like this. I don't know. I'm actually here making a podcast though. Whoa, that's crazy. I forget to be astonished from time to time, and then everybody else falls into astonishment, I guess. I don't know what else I'm supposed to deduce from everything. Am I going crazy? Am I just like making myself sound crazy so that I can like it's annoying me that much? So that I can just have yet again another thing that's just I'm never gonna fucking follow through with, because I'm certainly not gonna follow through with being the comedian or being the funny guy. Things are funny naturally. Funny stuff happens. I say things that are funny, and I don't find them as funny when I'm trying to be funny. I don't find them to be funny when it's funny for a prolonged amount of time. But hey, I'm doing things in the background while I'm doing this show. So that's an important thing to know too. If you guys have any comments that I need to interact with, like, this guy has no life, this guy has no time, he has no future, or anything like this, I'll still interact with you. We're not going to argue we're not going to argue online. I'm not going to argue with you in the comments or anything like that. But hey, it helps too that I heard a podcast. I heard a guy saying something like this in a podcast like the other day, and it's like, oh, now I don't own the creative rights anymore to this mindset, even though I already had the mindset. It's like just advice for anybody experiencing the same thing. As the series premiere was about doppelgangers, just stay in the game. Just stay in the game. Just keep at it. Stay at it. Go and work through everything, and be Shrek peeling the layers of the onion of your creation and your passion and what you do. I have a fortunate edge, creative edge, and I'm imparting some of that onto you if you happen to have stumbled across this watching a Marilyn Manson video, like my analytics say. Anyway, is this thing on? Let me check. Microphone check. I don't know. We're here. I'm here. This thing is rolling. It's going. It's good. The story behind Paradise. What about us within temptation? The story behind is the section. The title of the article is Paradise. What about us? For covering the band Within Temptation, the symphonic metal band Within Temptation has this subtext below that reads: the song that united the first ladies of symphonic metal and created a friendship for the ages. I'm super interested in reading that. I'm pretty interested in reading that. I think I'll do a commercial break and let myself absorb the result of that. Hey, and during the commercial breaks and during these little commercial breaks and stuff like that, do drop a comment, please, and send your feedback. Donations are appreciated, and your tip jar goes into the local liquor store and helps feed my mead. It should be called Feed the Mead. You know, if it was an official tip jar, I would change the whole Cash App name to Feed the Mead, and then it would help the. Actually, I'm going to I take that back. I would change my mind. I'm not doing a commercial break right now. This is a real genuine atmosphere, ambiance that people want to see. They want to see this, and I've got YouTube barking at me in my emails saying this stuff. I've got actual people physically barking at me saying this stuff, not just generally speaking, like you know, this one guy, this one time said, I mentioned that on another podcast. I can't use that. I don't reuse or recycle any of the actual essence or the content that I use in here. But it's the point being, feed the mead is what I'm like honestly genuinely wanting to change my Cash App name to, so that it's I'll embrace it more. It's like Big Daddy and then the homeless guy who's raised by a military guy who's like, dad never liked him, and then he's a homeless alcoholic that has to be like, you never wanted me to do this and that. Or American Beauty, and the guy's a military guy, he's too difficult on his son, and then he winds up going crazy and killing himself, or getting killed by the guy, by the other guy. I can't remember exactly all the details about American Beauty, but it's a good movie, and it's the same thing. It's like, just make your freaking thing, blah, 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 blah. I'm younger. I'm not young. I'm younger than whoever the fuck is responsible for this bullshit rubbish that I'm experiencing. And therefore, I'm not as qualified to work out my mental problems this way. But even as false as that statement as that may be, I have said I'm not and don't use this platform for working out my mental health issues. So it's like being on such a watery grave of, well, how much freedom do I actually have here? It feels kind of like my freedom of speech is at risk over here a good deal. Well, how much of it do I have then? I mean, I'm not going to sit around and ask. I'm going to basically be completely ignoring it all the entire time. And wait for my little clearing at the light at the end of the tunnel when I will have to, it's literally me signing myself up for an eternity of suffering, I guess, basically then, at that point, because I know that it's not going to be worth it. I've reached the end of the tunnel many times over. I know it's not worth it, but I'm still going anyway. Whatever. Again, it's not that serious. I'm just reading a fucking magazine over here. But Within Temptation is a great band. I guess they're all female, but it's not. They're not. It's the first ladies of symphonic metal. There's a man right here pictured in the band. So it's not the short 2-paragraph either that I was thinking, or 2-paragraph, but two column article I was thinking. It's actually a few more columns. After that, we go to some more. That's a big article. I would have signed myself up for something that would have been a long read and is not. So again, we're just going to keep perusing and browsing on through here. Hi, Parasite. Goth metal royalty unite to create glorious anthems for the bleak. The quote here reads, I haven't suddenly said, okay, my dying bride is shelved, so I can do this. So, it's like, I'll just like, it's like, I know what you're thinking, guys. It's like, it's all just coming out and just like at a massive rate. Well, I can assure you there will be a calm moment and a calm point where you reach a bit of a stagnant moment before we proceed back to where we were. We're not going to be leaving where we are right now with this perpetual verbal vomit anytime soon, but we are going to take some sort of a short break and before we return. And I have to wait until probably, practically speaking, I have to wait until literally after the break until we return back here before I'm comfortable doing a commercial break. And thus, if you can follow what I'm saying, if any of this makes any sense, you are probably most likely a podcaster, or should be. And if that is the case, then you probably have noticed that, well, that ultimately like relinquishes any like actual control that I would otherwise have had over myself, my faculties, the creating of the content. And then perfect, then I have an explanation. I guess it all worked out then. Then I guess I have an explanation for the whole reasons why my organic following's moving very slowly. Nobody's sending any donations, and I already went over that. So I'm not going to say that because people are sending donations. They're just in some sort of a different realm, in a different space, sending me donations and support in the form of money. These are high parasite photographs of the band here. We'll focus on that a little bit here. This five-piece band, these gentlemen have some sort of makeup on the front man with a button up, and then the other guy a vest, and then the other attire you can't see. You can just see their heads. The Gloom in the Corner, concept-driven metalcore from Australia, weaving a tale of dimension-hopping time travelers. Alright, this is where I hop into the article of, let me learn a little bit something about the genre that I dread. And many other people share the sentiment with me too. I absolutely dread metalcore. Aside from what American metalcore band has actually helped pave the way for giving me a significant history of being a fan of this genre, those metalcore rascals. Anyway, I'm skipping over it anyways. Sgàile, epic grandiose metal inspired by the Scottish mountains. Epic metal, Scottish mountains. Can't pronounce the name properly or understand what it means. Need to translate it. I'm in, you son of a bitch. After the caption, of course. Band members? Nah, there can only be one. There can be only one. Is it there can be only one or there can only be one? I don't know. I'm even comfortable with being cringe, real cringe right now. Don't ever let anybody ever get anything they want. They get cringe. And don't ever learn cringe and start using the word cringe. You'll tell everybody don't ever let them be what they want. Tony Dunn. Oh, it sounds like there's somebody here. I might have to leave you with the commercial break. Not that I would let myself be perturbed, as I am the only one. But there is some racket, some noise going on out there, so I'll just be a keeps to himself, minds his own business fellow, who is going to remind you real quick on the episode, 2 episodes before this one, of mentioning Longfellow, and then scrolling through some things or other, and then finding out, well, Longfellow was floating around in my head because I was reading an audio book that was I was creating an audio book that the book was. I was creating an audio book of a book. No, that's not right either. I was creating an audio book whereby I'm reading a book that was written by a fellow named Longfellow. His last name, his family name was Longfellow. And he must have been a prolific writer, as you have prolific writers' names reoccurring in society. And this is where I go, oh, caught red-handed right there. Stop it right there, pal. You have the potential to give your 2 cents on history of society and all this thing. I know. I'm like a famous serial killer. I was just waiting for you to catch me. I just wanted to be caught. That way, when I'm talking about these things, you'll actually listen. Maybe that's folly. Maybe that's the sheer opposite of how things work. I probably should have been talking about all this beforehand. Oh, caught another person other than me red-handed. I've been talking about this stuff, man. It's whatever. The article is still going to be read nonetheless. So, I'm going to take my time. Might take a commercial break, go stretch the old legs. I leave the floor to you to decide what you think about my art. And then, I guess patiently waiting for your feedback. I don't know. I don't know how anybody's going to put any efforts into something at all and just accept that there's no feedback, and then after a certain amount of time just accept that it's anything other than a fucking straight up full-blown, full-fledged. I'm not gonna go there. I'm gonna stop. Kus fraba. End short. Start with the end short. Sounds like if Scottish rain were shredding riffs instead of water. For fans of Spectral Lore of the Ruins, of Beverest, Caligula's Horse, never heard of any of these guys, got to check them out. It presents a whole nother series for me. Now, I mentioned doing these episodes where I cover these issues of this magazine that we are now... I have to zoom out first to get that info for myself here. That we are now 31 pages into. That these would go nice into a collection, into a series, into an organized playlist of the magazines are here. Then these would be like. These would be the same with the interviews. So the interviews have to go there just off the top, just off GP. I gotta say, Scottish guys or epic metal guys, and then over here we have those other guys, all these other guys. I'm not just gonna lump everybody that I'm interviewing into one category. You cannot. That's not acceptable here. That's unacceptable here. So the song they want you to listen to, still finishing up in short. In short, listen to Lamentations by the Lochin. I don't understand. Are they saying listen to this other band just randomly? It seems kind of random. That doesn't make sense. But we'll figure out here once we learn, whatever it is, from the actual article. Tony Dunn is quite the instrumentalist. In the past, the Scottish musician has lent his prowess to black metalers Sour and Death Doomster's Fellock. By the ultimate showcase of his skills is under his solo banner, Sgàile. I'm going to try to actually pronounce this. Sgàile. A one-man project combining technical proficiency with the emotional heft of atmospheric doom. There are more flavors to this particular cocktail, however, with black progressive and thrash metal elements popping up across his output, sometimes even in a single song. The freedom of being able to work on a piece of music without fear of it being refused or scrutinized by another band member is actually one of the most fulfilling parts of the lone wolf approach, explains Tony. You answer to yourself and ultimately to your audience. Traverse. The Bailac. Sgàile's new album is a sonic adventure inspired by literal ones. Munro bagging means climbing to the summit of a Scottish mountain with an elevation of more than 3,000 feet. And Tony has personally scaled 50 of the country's 282 Munros. This is the timestamp 44:38 where you go, I like this for background noise. I like this in the background when I'm working at my desk or whatever. So go to the timestamp here if you are a 9 to 5 or cubicle employee. All that fresh air further piqued with fascination with a deep devotion to ecological conservation. The Bellatrix of the title is a narrow mountain pass, and the lyrics explore environmentalist issues. Climate change is something that is very close to me and is a topic I'll always write about, he says. My day job is in the renewable energy industry, so it's always at the forefront of my thinking and something I'm very passionate about. Tony uses Traverse to release his frustration with environmental disregard. It's apparent in the atmospheric blackened doom blackened doom characterized by murky licks, expansive vocals, and an overall aura thicker than the brush Tony's trekked through the sky, admitting that the lyrics were a challenge. I was trying to convey quite a troubled vibe, almost a struggle with the lyrics, he says. But I have to be honest, I'm tempted to try another concept album at some point in the future. Thus concludes Bellatrix, Traverse the Bellatrix, an avant-garde music release from Sgàile, who branched off from. It's actually Tony Dunn, his project Sgàile, who branched off from those sour guys that I keep seeing on my suggested feed, and those phallic guys I also keep seeing on my suggested feed. The album available, the avant-garde music release that is available from the mind of this guy is expressed in this article that his main premise is environmental conservationism. Now let's be an asshole. Let's be an asshole knowingly after I've already been an asshole, and let's just keep being an asshole until there are no more assholes left. I don't know if we exactly want no more assholes left altogether, so I'll just do that just to stick around and see what my next scene. Speaking of next scene, we're gonna scroll prowl on down here to Black Satellite, the New York duo that's rediscovering the dark allure of gothic industrial tones. I'll read the in short, see if I feel like reading the whole thing. Cerebral gothic is what it sounds like. Alt metal, sealed with a kiss of industrial grit and experimental distortion. For fans of Health, Korn, Starset, and listen to Broken by this band. Now I'm going to reference back and say listen to Lamentations and listen to By the Loken. See, this is just something I'm totally aware of how completely and totally unacceptable this is. That if you're relaxed enough, you can oh, hold on, gotta go. Can't even finish what I was saying. Anyway, it's two songs that they are suggesting that you listen to in the last one. The song Broken is the song that you listen to on this one. It's a gothic industrial metal outfit. Duo. That's a one man. This is a duo. We'll check it out, but I'm doing it my way this time. She likes to explore the feelings and emotions most people don't like. Her mother's Ukrainian. She's experimenting with the industrial sounds on her project. Summed up the evolution of her project in that song that's suggested called Broken. Excuse me. I want you guys to get here. I'm Mickey GemInEye. This is Evolved doing podcast. Here on this style, I want you guys to get the whole experience, the whole genuine experience. That means seeing me blow my nose and commenting on it, where just blowing my nose and then not commenting on it or pausing it. Let me say it in machine terms, a lot more linear. I'm not going to pause it when I have to blow my nose. I'm not going to edit out when I'm blowing my nose. Until I am. And then I am. The end. Moving on then, back to this here. Larissa has already got the thumbs up from Cradle of Filth, soon embarking on tour with the goth legends she considers family. She's also been given the stamp of approval from Alice Cooper, the pair performing Freed My Frankenstein together during a Nita Strauss show a few years back. Cooper thinks I can sing, so that's good enough for me, she smiles. Somehow, this band has escaped my clutches. Black Satellite. Yes, feed me more, feed me. I must get more of these black satellite under my hands. I want to suck your blood. Now let's check out these Belgian brutes purging internal toxins with soaring post-metal. No thank you. The face hugger phone holder. Alright, we're doing merch. We're doing merch after the commercial break. Check out some music. And back with the merch, we got some of the merch section titled Horde Almighty. I just never know the joke and understand. I don't catch the joke or the humor unless I seldom catch the humor. And when I do, it's, oh, what a nice delight. A Horde Almighty, Lord Almighty. That's blasphemy. That's literal blasphemy. Cool. I feel more comfortable now knowing that I'm in a fucking blasphemous text. Maybe I'm not able to speak on that either. I don't know. But I just did. So anyway, Mötorhead discography. Is this a vinyl? Mötorhead discography is this 9 vinyl collection of Mötorhead, with the title here says "We Take No Prisoners," the singles of 95 to 06. From 1995 to 2006, these singles of Mötorhead are, available in vinyl. Wow. And then the how many pounds are we talking? How much cheddar mozzarella? 65 pounds. That's like $100. Box sets, underground oddities, and all the essential merch you need this month. Yeah, I do. I certainly do need this face hugger phone holder. Are you kidding me, dude? What an absolute... I see there's a Harvey Birdman phone case advertised in there. They're not going to say things like Harvey Birdman face phone case not included, but let's see if they do. I don't know. For £16.99, the face hugger phone holder is yours to own. Where you can show the world how much you love one of cinema's most iconic critters by wrapping this flexible face hugger around your smartphone, all without having to worry that it might shove an egg down your gullet. If you get an egg shoved down your gullet, you earn yourself a family of aliens, and you will be the proud host. You can be the proud host of a family of aliens. Wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want to give your life an honorable sensibility that you would be the host of anyway, I'm getting way off track. This is a freaking really cool thing to have mounting when you're watching, when you're listening, when you're recording, when you're doing stuff. Really cool thing to have during that time frame. Really cool thing to have during that time frame. Moving on to the Graveyard Wax Melts, the Bat Wine Beer Opener, Beer/Wine Opener, Wine/Beer Opener. Ghost Onesie. Fast Eddie Clark box set. Don't know who Fast Eddie is. The legendary guitarist from Mötorhead. Don't know who he is. I can't say that. I'm not allowed to say that I don't know who Fast Eddie Clark is. Oh wait, Mötorhead is literally in the same category of my bias. Oh, it's. I'm not going to emphasize and add salt to an open wound here of my bias, but I am required to establish my biases, embrace my biases, and hopefully discover, in all honesty, sheer honesty, hopefully ultimately discover a little bit more about myself and who I am through that sort of embrace. Under the context of me saying this on a broadcast, a podcast, pod show, on a show, that I give a little bit too much of my honesty of who I really am already. So that sweetens the deal a little bit here. The Mimi Barks bundle. She's got a short on her YouTube channel with her sticker collection. There's one of the stickers featured on this box set for 32.99 pounds. I think a quid is like a penny. So it's like 32 pounds and 99 quid. And she is in the... she's in the UK right now. From Germany, in the UK. Right now. Right freaking now, man. Poppy's up next. And then what are these earrings exactly? Are these Ouroboros earrings? They are. They are Ouroboros earrings, but they're Beetlejuice Ouroboros earrings. Sandworm is a cool name for an Ouroboros, but it's a sandworm. Like I don't know, calling, order by phone. Yeah, I want to buy the Beetlejuice sandworm earrings for my girlfriend. That'll be 35 pounds, they'll say. Something about the snake eating its tail. No, not Tim Burton's Beetlejuice sequel. We're talking about these Beetlejuice-inspired Tatty Divine earrings. Laser cut, hand-inked, and ready to trap undead couples in their homes. The Devin Townsend Power Nerd Bundle. Can only fucking imagine all the prog rock nerds, prog rock lovers that are itching to get their hands on that Devin Townsend Power Nerd Bundle. But Poppy, I've literally gotta give you, Poppy, I have to give you the credibility of just reading the quotes and the subtext, but I'm not looking forward to even doing that. She got internet famous for eating candy floss, blurs, genres, looks different every time you see her, and has become metal's go-to guest star. We uncover the rise of an icon. Gray areas leave questions, so I like extremes. There was power in what Kitty had to say. The new Fit for an Autopsy album coming out on October 25th is the Nothing That Is. Anybody that identifies as a metalhead is a nerd. Shows. Tour dates for Evergrey. Supporting Evergrey. So, tour dates for who exactly? Clogger? Tour dates for Clogger. Supporting Evergrey on the Emptiness Over Europe tour. All these places. And there's some cool, just what you do when you're at a photo shoot for a magazine. Nobody's unaware of the zine anymore. The zine is the journalists. The zine. Let me tell you guys about the zine. From what I understand about the zine, what people really, really want to hear from me is the actual content and the actual essence of the content therein. That these kind of comments are what make my stuff what it is. Okay, so listen up. because that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to leave you with as a bit of foreshadowing before eventually maybe possibly getting around to it, but probably not, hopefully not. That the zine, let me tell you about the zine. The zine is the journalist's black metal. The zine is you're making your own zine magazine, and it's your own style, and you don't care about fuck ups, and you want local shit in there. You want to root for the underdog. You want to be able to say stuff like me. You want to be able to say stuff like I'm saying, where you don't give a fuck about what you're saying. That's what a zine is. And at the progression of that, seeing as how it's popular enough to where I know about it. If I know about it, you can bet it's pretty popular. And when it gets that popular, those are the signification of the end times in the creative world. That when I know about it, like the zine, it's slowly losing its effect. It's starting to lose its effect. So expect an Everything Must Go sale happening sometime pretty soon. And hope and pray to the Dark Lord, Satan, that you will have yourself an intent on buying in the bargain bin and a little bit of a fun experience in buying in the bargain bin, where you will be not having a fun experience at all and be ensnared in the experience of this zine culture, black metal culture, doing the shows like this culture, because you have a different story. There are a third one, but there really isn't, though. There really isn't. There's not a third one. There is, you are intent on buying the bargain bin and experienced. And the other one is, you are not. And then the third one is, well, other people have just been doing this for a long time, so technically you're God, sort of thing. And that's like where we're at with the zine. But this is an official magazine. You won't find any of these things. You won't find any of these things at all in this type of format. Next up, the quote down here reads, "This could all fall apart at any moment." Wow, very fitting. Good, I'm glad that I read this, Poppy. I'm out of here. Looks like it's still Poppy. Looks like it's still Poppy, but I'm just doing this. Yeah, it is. Her father might not have owned YouTube, but Poppy was raised on the internet. And next up, Iron Maiden with some Egyptian stuff, really cool looking, etc., etc., blah blah. I know you hate me because I'm scrolling, not looking at Iron Maiden, scrolling over it. Resurrection Men, the article on Black Dahlia murder, reads on the subtext, the late Trevor Strnad's bandmates in the Black Dahlia murder are paying tribute to the beloved singer in the best possible way by keeping the band alive. Emotionally, it's weird. Grief comes and goes. This is a good article I would read if I liked Black Dahlia Murder. I just don't like Black Dahlia Murder too much. So Trevor would have loved the new album. That's it. That's the end of that. Over here, the next one. Sleep Token it's got an article here, Behind the Mask, the mythos, the mystery, the meaning. We decode every Sleep Token song. Please do. Please provide me some insight on some of this Sleep Token stuff as we now reach. Let me just literally scroll straight to the end here with more Sleep Token stuff. It is 64 pages in, where we have only doubled up the pages that we were on last time I checked. So let's double this up where we are right now, and we still won't even be done. So might as well, if I'm this far behind, Because the only one I'm looking for is the one that I always make fun of. And it's called... See, look, these are all singles by Sleep Token, and I literally only know one song of theirs. I only know 2 songs of theirs, and I only actually know 1 song of theirs. So I could just spend all the time and squeeze every last drop of it and milk this moment for what it's worth on really commentating on how my honest experience with this band here. That the song that I know of from this band is... It's just totally unknown to me right now until I see it. I'll know it when I see it. The Summoning is The Summoning. So let's read that while I frantically try to look for the other one afterwards. Much of Take Me Back to Eden is based around the idea of cycles, reinforced through repeated imagery. Okay, I already am, on the same page as that. I'm already on the same page as this, and that still doesn't help me out here. Color-coded lyrics like I look for scarlet and you look for ultraviolet. Echo, I've got a blood trail, red in the blue. From sundowning track Higher, and we come up again on the last album's Aqua Regia. It reinforces the idea of repetitive patterns, potentially of abusive or collapsing relationships. Some Reddit users even posit it isn't just about meeting someone new, but a prelude to the tragedy explored previously and in future in Sleep Token lore. That's kind of what I mean. That this is prohibited space of mine. Is like, oh, it's prohibited, and yet every now and then I still have to pop in and check up on things, and then thus making me really not all that upset about it, considering that I understand it, and simply being upset with how does that's where my involvement in politics steps in and comes into play. That my necessity for commenting on politics and following politics comes into play. That I follow politics and socio-political discussions from necessity. I don't do it from enjoyment. I don't do it from this, that, the other thing. So I'm stepping in from necessity. So it certainly would potentially also just borrowing that word posit from the one that I just read. That would also posit another set of issues or of other things, and the necessity for it is still, it's the same thing. It always works out. I don't pop in on these kind of things, but it always works out, and having a necessity for having some sort of upper hand on this, also something that I could probably treat the same way. That's the kind of person I'm authentically actually going to be. I'm going to be that kind of person probably. But whatever this is, that's prolonging that understanding. My understanding being just fine the way that it is, and my values and my ethics being just fine the way that they are. But the clearly defining who I am instead of being difficult beating around the bush is literally outside the realm of emotional responses. And so, listening to a nostalgic album, for example, some of the influences that were mentioned in these previous bands, that would be a sort of, I don't know, occasional delight. I don't know what I would call that. I would call it maybe a tool. That would be a tool for exploration. It would be a tool to explore certain things, break down the walls. Maybe it's building up the walls. Something of a tool is what that would be. I am referencing, mind you, I am referencing a specific band that it's not important to mention right now, but the actual act of listening to an nostalgic album for the sake of using it as a tool is literally a point that I reached at right now. I don't see the use in that either. I don't see the use in exploring bands like this that I'm not interested in. I don't see the use in over-articulating, looking too far into something, and also I don't see the use in never seeming to arrive at a conclusion for who I am, or causing problems in the sense of that nobody else does now either. So it's a little bit hard to follow. I'm speaking a little bit up in the air with this. I'm a little bit high up with this, and not making much sense. It's a darn good thing that I have established one thing that is for certain, and that is I am Mickey GemInEye, and I am the host of this show. With the ability to stick around here a little bit longer, it'll be like, oh, Talamers, oh, that's a cool thing. I got something to say about every one of these now. Talamers, cool. I literally read a college research paper one winter around Christmas about Talamers after hearing Joe Rogan mention it, or before. It could have been before Joe Rogan mentioned it on his podcast. I don't know. But he seems to be I almost said harbinger. I don't even know what harbinger means. I'd have to clearly define that, add that to my little dictionary of things. Just a quick thing before we go to before we start thinking about a next commercial break. Just a quick side note. Reference my little 5 or 10 minute video on improving mental health for aspiring songwriters, and you'll find some tools that are practical for you to use as well, as I don't find this actual act of what I'm doing right now to be quite practical at all, really, but that video that I made is full of actual practical tools that you can use to maintain your mental health. And maybe you already got a therapist, maybe you got a BetterHelp account or something like this, and then show it to them, tell it to them, get your feedback, send me. I would like that very much if somebody watched my video on mental health for aspiring songwriters on the official Mickey GemInEye YouTube, showed it to their therapist, got some experience from that, and told me about it. Obviously, until then, we'll have to laser remove all my tattoos before I get there. You know what I mean? Fuck it. Never mind. Moving on to Opeth. There's Michael Akerfeld. He's got family, and the other band member. Family Values is the title of the article. Subtext reads, A Contested Inheritance. Rogue Flutes. The Return of the Death Growl. Opeth have made the most unexpected record of 2024, and this has a lot of comments on it. A lot of these legends and seasoned artists have been utilizing. I want to comment on this too, that I can be quoted on. You can actually, I'm comfortable with you quoting me on this, on my thoughts on this, as we have stepped into the next stages and phases and sequences in the cycle before we get to a commercial break. That I'm seeing the way that these seasoned artists are utilizing this platform, the way that they're utilizing the social media, the shorts, all this stuff. Granted, I assume that they're most likely, and this is one of the benefits of me having this platform of what I do have, why I do have this to lose, I guess, or something like this, I guess. I don't know. But to be able to say stuff like this, that obviously they have tips, pointers, and suggestions given to them from their superiors. And their superiors not actually being superior, but their superiors being the people who handle their paychecks, the people who handle their legal issues, and all of that noise. But they handle it in a way where these guys are literally picking up it seems like they're literally picking up the pieces of and filling the shoes of every other celebrity, where this whole genre was and has been. I won't go there. Actually, let me stop myself. I could pump the brakes. I just got brand new brakes on my brain recently from improving my telomeres and reading college research papers around Christmas time, so I can pump the brakes. The way that they're handling this is genuine. It's authentic, and even when it ceases to be that, those of us like me who follow this, I don't intentionally follow any of this stuff. I don't go look for this stuff. I'm literally seeing the stuff just pop up under suggested feed. As in, I can control it to the extent that I want to spend a certain frame of time. Oh, gotta pump the brakes again. I don't want to go there either. I'm talking about what I want to do with my time. Those authentic, genuine expressions from body language and what they're actually saying can still serve as a form of communication even after it's tainted with just jump straight to a general conclusion. I think not. I think I'll actually provide an actual detailed thing of what I'm saying. That of what the industry, what the music industry, what fame, what money does to you would still penetrate through that. And in that, these guys are starting right now. They're veterans. They're seasoned. They've been doing this a while. They're older than everybody else that's doing this right now. Older than all these people. And they're communicating in their own way. And they are having themselves be commented on. But the biggest and most important aspect is that they are responding. They're interacting. So whatever part of the spectrum is up here and down here, not as important unless you fall into one of them. But people who have actual commentary sort of thing going on, and then have like an actual way of providing their own authentic input, and then actually providing something that is like what I'm saying. Like, I'm seeing the person and their facial expression and what they're saying about their recent work. And then I'm seeing how this is being broadcasted now through a 15-second, 1 minute, or a 5-minute short. And then they're commenting on the recent album. And that's what was seen from this person here, shown here on his Instagram. And he's mostly saying, what he was saying specifically is that he does not, he didn't even say that he does not care what other people are saying. He said that he does not feel that the album came out insufficient, or that the album came out any way other than he's satisfied with it. He's satisfied with it. I commented on this. I spent a little time adding a comment on this. And that comment was that he's good. It's not good on him, but he's good for having the way of he jumped outside of the norm. Basically, is what I was saying. All I was saying is that he jumped out of the cycle of what everybody else would probably say. And that is that. So I'm going to leave that there and jump to a commercial break. These words are not mine. I'm just going to remind you. These are the words of an editor, and they are Jonathan Seltzer's. Pictures by John McMurty. I want to go ahead and dive into this one a little bit, as it's got some pretty good stuff for me to continue paraphrasing, and those we'll always start with the quotes as usual here. That's just about the new album. So we have been called pretentious a billion times. I don't know what people expect from us. And starting backwards here with these photo captions. Not being escorted out by security, calling it a win. The Claw. The Claw! And Fondant Fancies. So cool, man. It's so cool seeing these guys, dude. If you were going to start talking vinyl with this man, make sure you're sitting comfortably. He's gonna really hear a shitload of comments from me about all the good stuff that I feel about it or whatever. And mallets on the next record? Sure, why not? I think mallets are what those pants are called, and those shoes, or those mallets must be that style pants, or those style shoes, or that hat. Michael and Frederick, a duo out of time. We are disappointed by the lack of pinkies, chaps. Says the UK Publishing. That makes no sense. That makes no sense, bro. Makes a nice change for Greg's Chicken Bakes. Rock stars and pot, a tale as old as time. Pot of tea. A pot of tea, if you don't mind if I do. I don't mind if I do, Dave. Hey, Dave, there's a spot of tea there. Got some kind of tea. Look at the viscosity of that tea. And that tea. That tea on a big tea cup. And it just looks like these two guys are the only two in the band or something like this. I don't know, but apparently here's what we can expect in this album. That the Rogue Flutes is what I'm interested in finding out about. And that the Contested Inheritance is the actual, the reason why the album's named what it is named. And here we go. Once you've been greeted and waved by an amiable, top-hatted doorman, Gatsby's room, located on the ground floor of 5-star Mayfair Hotel, the Beaumont, doesn't appear out of time, so much as benignly indifferent to it. Lined with vintage bookshelves, paintings of man and hound, photographic portraits of well-heeled patrons,
and harboring a grand piano in the corner. The spacious interior has an air of meticulous leisure. For all the period 1920s decor and exquisite futurism of the Art Duo fittings, it makes you feel very much in the moment, accommodated for. Let's jump to commercial break. The commercial breaks being with my songs that I'm adding in is great thing for now, and having a way to like show you guys my music and all that. But really what I'm more looking forward to is featuring other people's tracks, other people's music, to of course add the variety in. But for now, it's totally awesome having just my own music on here, and getting all the other tracks on here is something that I'm gonna try to wait until next season. But there is a chance someone's going to ask me, can you feature my track on there? And I'm going to be like, of course, yeah. If you're going to ask me, then yes, you can. And so for the time being that all my stuff is on here, it's like, well, it's great. It makes it easier for me to work with when I'm adding the stuff in. I made these, so I know what they sound like, and I I'm just gonna have to add that on to the next season for the feature. The feature of the next season includes none of my own stuff, where it's not quite reversed. It's like it'd be easy and nice and convenient if everything was just like everything's exact opposite, but it's not quite, considering that I'm not adding anybody else's music into here unless they ask. Where it's in my mind, it's all my own music the whole season. Next season, for me to do it the way that I'm minding this, like the way that my mind is operating, the way that I'm actually doing this, it's not quite beyond explanation. It requires the occasional explanation. I'm required to explain from time to time that I'm focusing on having it be competitive worthy. I don't have competition right now. If I were to try to say that I did have competition, it would be way out of proportion, like the early days of the UFC with Tank Abbott, a 200-pound man fighting like a scrawny stick figure. Where that's ultimately how I guess I've always tailored the show. Just a totally disproportionate competition. It causes some pretty comical problems. The comical problems aren't quite funny anymore. And hey, I'm here to freaking acknowledge that, be present with that, and just accept it. But that's an effective diversion of Plankton and his ravioli, give me the formioli, I guess. But then, is it really effective? Because then it's just a formula for the formula of the ravioli, give me the formioli diversion. Anyway, that's what makes me a good formula creator. The formula that we have right here is the same exact one. It's just better now because we have a band. That was a bit of a confusing. I'm going to clear the air here. Let me not confuse you anymore, unconfuse you. Articulation into another confusing articulation. Possibly, but just not quite. Not quite, though. Not quite. That the band I like, I don't know what my relationship is with this band anymore. That I at this point I just like and respect them for who they are. I don't have necessarily a interest in going to see a show by them, buying tickets to see a show for them, buying an album. I would rock a t-shirt. I would certainly rock a t-shirt with their name on it and an album cover on there or something. Just any other merch. You know, I'd put a sticker on my guitar, maybe at the back of my guitar or something like that. This guitar's got some tattoos. You know, this one's got some tattoos of some drawings that I did. You saw the guitar in the last frame, in the last segment. Last segment, you saw the guitar in the background. Now, what you can see is the other instrument. That's the other instrument table. That's where my other instrument is. The headphones is technically an instrument. The headphones I'm wearing right now, the headphones go over there. This is also an instrument. It's my microphone. The lyrics that I'm doing, when I'm doing vocals, I put my lyrics over there. So it's just so you know where you are. It's like first you're in guitar in frame, now you're in other instruments in frame. And let's carry on with the next segment on this article about the melodic death metal band from Sweden named Opeth. Just clear up the confusion with me in the comments, please, so I can work through whatever it is, because I guess I'm a little confused too. Hammer is here to partake in the afternoon tea with Opeth frontman Michael Akerfeld and guitarist Frederick Atkinson. Michael is dressed for this occasion, swapping the Jethro Tull t-shirt he was wearing earlier at the somewhat more rock and roll Sanctum Hotel for a plain black shirt. So, I have to skip over this. I'm not going to say that I dislike. I'm not going to say much about this at all. I'm not going to say anything about this at all. I'm just going to go ahead and scroll on through here. So they're in. All I need to know is where they are. So they're in. I almost said Spain. No, it's not. They're not in Spain. They're hanging out with the director for Lords of Chaos. It just looks like they're in the UK. I mean, with the whole tea thing, and of course the luxurious hotel. I believe that this is. It's just, why are they there though? Let me see why they're there. See, they're just starting off very poetic at the beginning of any good article. And I also like to leave this running too, so that you can read yourself the article if you care to read the actual words. If not, you know, you can always get yourself a library card, download the Libby app, and download digital versions of this magazine, as well as other like Guitar Player and Guitar World, both of which I also have to do a whole episode about on my commentary on that as well. On the boring days when there's nothing swirling around in the chaos that is my head. of course. I don't know. It just looks like that the whole occasion is just for the album release, and then the celebrating it with the hanging out with these guys, and then of course the as quotation asterisks well accommodated for asterisks. So it's that this piece of art was finished, is complete, and we're going to go into the interview that they were able to conduct while they were there. And it looks like they did some research for the album here. That's just me guessing a bit to get my foot in the door and then correcting myself if I'm wrong. Although family, the question of what ties them together and what we hope to pass on is one of the core themes of the album. Michael's grumpy dad wasn't the inspiration for the story. Instead, it was something also very dear to his heart, his famed love of vinyl. As he relates, the story started germinating during the pandemic when he was helping out a record store owning friend in his hometown of Stockholm, buying other people's collections, burying other people's collections, yard, buried treasure, buying other people's collections on the friend's behalf. I went to a house where the father had died, but had left a collection. It was beautifully categorized in an alphabetical order, but the children, and that wasn't the only time this happened, told me he'd never let them go near the records. It's cool. He was in his hometown looking at record collections of friends and buying them off of them to help his collection. And found that the sentimentality of the owners and previous owners of the vinyls inspired him to create this album. He wasn't expecting to, though. Yeah, this is once again another article I'm not going to be able to do justice to, and will only screw it up by paraphrasing, but I'm also going to say that this is also another article that I cannot not only not do justice to by paraphrasing, but will paraphrase or only screw it up by paraphrase, but will paraphrase anyway. A little bit of like wordplay. Speaking of aspiring songwriters, a little bit of wordplay that you can do is be like, it's something I can only screw up and by paraphrasing, and I'm only going to paraphrase. It just sounds like me arguing. As for the paraphrasals here of freeing yourself of possessiveness, is a process that any Opeth fan can relate to. Over the 34 years, the Swedes have been a mercurial, ever-evolving force, beholden to no one but themselves. But this But with world-building albums such as 2001's sweepingly progressive Pastoral, Come, Angel of Death, Incantation, Blackwater Park, they've instilled a deep connection that some feel has been sorely tested since Michael dropped his death metal vocals, as the band went full prog in 11 with Heritage, seemingly never to return. I think that connection, like Iron Maiden, says Michael. I've heard so many complaints. I've complained about some of the later albums, but they cemented themselves with records that were so important for many people, but they're still huge. At one point, we had a lot of people in that place where there was a void that needed to be filled. And the name is worth a lot of people. Even if we do a string of records that they don't like, there's one record that they love more than anything else, and for that reason they'll show up when we play. Or check out the new songs and get disappointed again. The new album presents a new challenge with the growls. Death metal growl, guttural vocals are back. Honestly, I didn't notice that the guttural vocals were gone with Heritage, considering that I just see these as like an evolution of. But I that's not my place. That's for other YouTubers, not me. Not it. It's not the same thing as not it. It's like, that's not mine. Well, he's hoping that the next album will have the same effect as having the 15-year gap between guttural vocals. Some fans have lost interest from that. He has expressed in that YouTube short that I said, that he commented on this, that it's without hurting the feelings, anybody's feelings. He's just saying that he feels the same way I feel about it. I know that there are others like me who feel the same way about this as the creator of it feels. So I'm sharing my sentiments with the actual creator here, that I like it. And that's all he's saying. He's saying the same thing. I like it, and he's saying I'm aware of other people differing in my opinion, but I like it. I like the way that it is. But I'm aware of other people that have a difference in opinion. And that is what is just been said, what I just said, that some fans lost interest because of this. And that's another thing too. A lot of people will say, you've done this, you've done that. That's okay, that's fine. There's a whole category of people that will say that. You need people to say that. This is just a step above gaining more of a focused, concentrated insight on looking farther into what it is that is now. What is it now? Mallets, the drumming percussion instrument. I'm like, mallets, a style of clothing? No, mallets, the percussion instrument. He's a death metal guy. The drummer's a death metal guy, so he likes the idea of mallets. What's unexpected is the level of musical brazenness this time around. A new freedom in opening yourself up to absurdity and all the dramatic tension that sailing close to the edge can give rise to. When I quoted that it's they've been called pretentious a billion times. Michael says that that's a compliment, and it doesn't dent his confidence. He said he'd rather be called that than lazy, I guess. And this is where this is my juicy nugget to sink my teeth in. He'd rather do the baritone than to go all King Diamond and do a really weird grandmother voice. But musical freedom is all there is. It has to be playful. There is some type of humor in there, even if it's not obvious. It has to be fun. He said this on an interview with one of the, Metal Injection or something like this. And that he says that again here. He's like, there is the humor. There is the humor that my friends are not waiting up for me. You know, like, wait up for me. Like, I'm aware that my sunglasses are crooked right now, okay? Wait up for me. It's funny. It's funny to me. I need to laugh with you about him and his sentiments about the falsetto and the high pitched and the black metal versus the guttural, the baritone, and the death metal. As I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you right now. I don't get bored enough to spend an entire day watching videos about guttural versus falsetto, baritone versus falsetto. That just is something that's there. That is something that could exist if I allowed it into my consciousness, but I don't. Instead, I'll have a Coke. And hopefully the humor has been instantly reciprocated, as I have to do some quick business-like stuff we're talking about now before proceeding with the article, and that is that none of these episodes are going to be on Spotify for at least 1 or 2 seasons. I've grounded my Spotify from these videos for at least 1 or 2 seasons, as it's just causing me too many problems. So I'll return to Spotify when it is convenient for me. And for now, all these are going to be on video on YouTube. So you have no excuse for understanding the humorous thing that I just did. And it's over with now. So you're going to have to rewind it if you want to see what it is. But I'm there to share the humor in what he's saying about this, okay? But that's here right now. That's what's going on right now. That is what's important right now. I'm not going to sit around listening to a bunch of other people babble about this stuff, rather than hear something that we're engaged in the conversation together, or we're talking about it together, or we're on the same page with this, and etc. That let's talk about this together and find the humor in it together. Because right now it's just me thinking that I know, and I'm going to go for a walk at some point in time, and I'm going to have stretch the old legs and take a hike and take a walk, and I'm going to be thinking in my head, well, what exactly is it that's funny about this? It's like, well, nothing. I don't know. Anyway, but just forget I said anything. Just forget about it. You know, it's not that big of a deal. Whenever it's natural that we could be friends again, you know, and sit around talking about this stuff, because I've been at the same pace. You know, that's a different story, but. It's great. It's a great delight to fucking see this, to read this, to hear him saying this. So, great. Awesome. 14 albums in, and the creative well's being replenished with this new album. But a large part of that is that it's being, they've never fit around the scene around them, and they've managed to have a forward-thinking mentality that defies the anti-modern. That is in fact, good to know, reiterating that. While their limitless possibilities extends to their devotion to a rock and metal past. And the concept behind the album and the legitimacy of those that may lay claim to it after all the research that's been done could be seen in all different kinds of ways. And the questions that for the interview that the interviewer wants to start asking is, does he feel out of touch with the contemporary world? And he says yes, he does. He enjoys some contemporary bands, but certain bands and people tell him that he'll love him, but he puts them on and he hates it. This just is him being disappointed so many times, and then in a lot of cases bands make it too easy for him to hate them. It's paraphrasing time. Paraphrasing alert. Do not quote me on these or chide me. And reading the interviews, he just finds some. That's the joy, is going back reading interviews, music articles. You suss how Iron Maiden sound the way they do. If you read an interview with Bruce Dickinson and he mentions his influence, you go, oh, that makes sense. So that's been very beneficial for my own broadening of horizons. He's not sure if it's consciously that that's what he's striving for, is to change what's in front of you by allowing the passion that's driving him to seep through. All these words are certainly shared sentiments from me that I back up with. I back up what I'm saying with this. I back up what I'm saying with the other YouTube channels, and like the physical writing the stuff down physically, and the arts and crafts. So he's talking about nostalgia, he's articulating it as well. That's a pleasure. That's a pleasure to read these things. To hear that people have this kind of articulation about such things is a pleasure for sure. Narrating some more of what's happening in the moment before reaching his final words in the interview. That just another example of sense of humor, of a demonstration of his sense of humor, and that is the end of the article on this band and their most recent album, that is saying it's released on November 22nd via Reigning Phoenix. That just has, it's more stuff that I can add in to the episode. I'd rather keep this format for what it is and not have the constant tedious work of what it's going to cost me to put in that much work right now. But doing the adding in the thing about my personal stuff that I wanted to do, that should be there. Adding in the official Rainy Phoenix website on here, that should technically be there. And I'm not going to sit and listen to somebody do that for me. I just did it myself. So that's even better. A Rising Tide, Pelagic Fest, When the Oceans is the next article. We're moving on here. When the Oceans, Robin Stapp started a label to release his band's music. He ended up curating an entire scene. We went to Pelagic Fest in the Netherlands to find out more. So with all these festivals, for Norway's All White on the Night, for Norway's Arabha. All these festivals, all these different vibes, the specific and unique signature fingerprint of each one. I'm interested to see what this one is. And the hipster record market here, Pelagic Fest, would be one of those that I'd walk right past. I wouldn't go there. Another nightmarish lullaby. You know, there's another cool thing to do. And the Ocean pulling double Dutch duty. Shot a ritual. Everything's all about fucking me, like, not having a clue what type of genre, what kind, I don't know. But this is post-rock. This is, I don't know. Now I know. Oh, there's Mastodon even here. It's going to be here too. And you know, just fucking unbelievable. Unreal. Lustmord. The Ocean. Metal Blade artist, The Ocean. Released Hollow Scene last year. And it's cool. This is where you go to get all your physical copies. A festival. Go to a festival. You want a physical copy. Nostalgia aside, you need a CD because your compact disc player produces better sound quality than your digital MP3s, as we all know. And in a case of an experience I've had where it's louder that way, where I can have my MP3 and auxiliary input in my phone and it's all the way up and still not loud enough. Except for a CD. When a compact disc is in there, it's loud enough to blow my fucking eardrums. Then you need a CD. God damn it, I already told the story about how hard it was to find and collect the discography about the CD collection, that one of the CD collections, or one of the band's discographies for the discography that I've collected. That it was a very difficult thing to find, and then just buy them here. Just go to a festival, buy them there. All right, Pelagian Fest. Cool. I'm interested because I read something about it. Next up, the Polar Express. I know what I'm thinking. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that much of an asshole. I like to say I know what you're thinking, and then it's fun at that point. When I get to I know what I'm thinking, I know what I'm thinking after I get to I know what I'm thinking. I know what you're thinking when I know what you're thinking, and then I know what I'm thinking when I know what I'm thinking. It's crazy. It's weird. It's strange. Glorious. I don't know. Come up with some more words. Here's a comment, a description generator. You know, there's some crazy, trippy ass shit here that we have to get to before I've exceeded. I have exceeded 2 hours on this episode, so this is still short because we have. It just basically only reached fucking halfway. So now I'm just gonna give it a shit fuck all fucking style the rest of the episode. This is just constant like bombardment over here. Like, let me just take a fucking break from doing all this for a while, and then let me just see, like, well, I know there's a way around it. There's always a loophole, friends. If you are all, I made a comment earlier on speaking on if a fellow podcaster was listening, and I will do that again. If you're also a fellow podcaster and you're listening and you're having some issues, having some troubles, just find a way around it, my friends. Find the loophole. Where there's a will, there's a way. Sweden's prog metalers, Flout and Flute, all expectations on album 14. Didn't get the whole flute thing, but I'm putting myself I'm picturing and putting myself in the scene when Michael was dusting off old albums of neighbors in the neighborhood, and maybe he came across a flute or something like that. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna consider doing. Backtracking, going back and checking that out. But here we have the album review of 9 out of 10 stars. 9 out of 10 stars for fans of Porcupine Tree, Michael's previous project. Isan and Sinek these are Rich Hobson. This is Rich Hobson's review. So this might be where the magical flute is discovered, but we got mentions of Watershed. We got that's the album Watershed. I got the 14th album. This is their 14th album. The demonstration of their skill in this album and their talent in this album is being compared to the Red Rocks Amphitheater, their performance at the Red Rocks Amphitheater, one that has shown up on my suggested videos feed on YouTube with many others as well, and gained lots of views as a very popular. Watched a few of their live sets on YouTube. I don't recall the Red Rocks Amphitheater one, but I do know it's there somewhere, and it's got a lot of views. All the stuff that is concert, all the stuff that involves concerts, live concerts, gets lots of views. That's just the way it is. People are all watching their concerts on YouTube now. Yeah, 2019's Incantation. That had to be the one that had Universal Truth, where I was waiting on that fucking album. This was exactly feels like that story that I was telling you about the album, where it took forever for me to find the album, and then now it's taken me forever to get and connect the dots here. That's what Incantation was. It isn't anymore. If I can find Incantation, I'm sure Venenum, that when I do, I've already listened to this album. I've already heard this album. It's just that things hit or they don't hit. This didn't hit, so therefore I feel like I haven't heard this album. but I've heard this album. Still, I put my big boy pants on and go listen to it, go find it. Because I have to uncover that gap. It's important to me. What the gap is, why I was there, and then, you know, that's where I would do a review video on that. It would be an album review video once I found it. Parentheses 1 is the single on the new album. Parentheses 2 and parentheses 3 are a couple other tracks featured on here. And that pretty much wraps it up. There's some big build up of the guttural vocals being back. But with the photo caption reading, Opeth bring all manner and delights to their latest album. It's just a big deal, guys. These guys coming back with this album is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Now, 1349. Ad infinitum. Adorior. Blood Incantation, Better Lovers, Atreyu, Alaman, the Barbarians of California, Jerry Cantrell, The Bug, Uncle Dave's, Biscuit Barrel, Every Hell, Cane Hill, By Curious, Eternal Chambers, Crimson Veil, The Crown, Chat Pile, Paul of Diano. I mean, I have to look into the freaking genre, Fit for an Autopsy, before I'll find out. Gaeria, there we go. There we go. Here we go. Black Atmospheric Marauders. Portugal's incendiary Black Atmospheric Marauders chart new highs and lows. It's atmospheric black metal with a face, figuratively speaking, as they all have masks. So they don't have a face, but they have a face in the popularizing of the genre. Gaeria weigh up the pros and cons of a wide sonic soundscape, and that's what's making them popular, is that they're adding in. This means nothing to anybody in the crawling up from the bottom, like me. Technically I'm that, but so it technically means nothing to me, but it is helpful to at least set up the framework of it's necessary that I'm aware of what's going on with these guys, that they have skimmed through style again, that they have a 2020 release, a 2022 release, and that makes them a new album, or new band. New band. Obviously the artwork's cool, you know, comment on that. Baroquely dynamic, referencing the Baroque era of classical music. I sure hope that they have some classical sounding music that they could back up with this, but it's for fans of MG Migta, Uada, and Rotting Christ. As the review of Kevin Stewart Panko's giving it 7 out of 10 stars. Indubitably delivering the goods. Indubitably. Post-metal ups and downs. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I would be into this in like, that I have an aesthetic. I would be into this and that I have an aesthetic something, what do you call that? When you meet a girl and you bring her home to mama. This is the I'm a boy, a good boy, and I want you to bring me home to mama and show me to your dad. Let's listen to Gaeria. Gaeria. But they are being promoted by an Nurgle of Behemoth. So that's how I found them. It is helpful to be commenting on that. I always forget and overlook these things. God damn it, Mickey. God damn it, Michael. Oransii Pazuzu has some psychedelic black metal that has the guy Swallow the Sun. Alright, I feel better. I just Pazuzu and Swallow the Sun. I'm familiar with this and that, blah blah. 8 out of 10 stars. Has Alex Deller giving him the rating. Psychic Paramount Blood Incantation, and Loop being for fans of, and the Montatuja nuclear blast release. The part that I'm trying to get to reading is that Finland's blackened psychonauts enter a new nightmare realm for recuperating after that and getting what just getting what I'm trying to get out of this. That I can read here that Oransii Pazuzu's twist extreme metal into startling new forms. It's clear that the imagery is very psychedelic, dark psychedelic, and then the album art, an oozing melt away of everything melting. But it's what was written here that'll really help with what I'm saying as I proceed to read this. That a strange shift seems to have occurred in the world of Oransii Pazuzu. While the Finns' unique blend of black metal, psychedelia, and cosmic music could never rightly be called normal, album number 6 sees them pressing even further into the unknown and not much caring who follows. The band's sound was built on impeccable riff craft and Juhiz's wonderfully blackened goblin gurgles, which were then imbued with meditative qualities demanding deep, uninterrupted listening. But if landmark releases like Mesterin, Kensi, and Varatelija were akin to being gently submerged in dark, oily waters, Montatuja, Montatuja is like being unexpectedly dragged down into cold depths and finding yourself surrounded by blind carnivorous eels. Nice imagery, Alex. Things prod, scrape, rattle. Obsidian surfaces that might once have been buffed to a smooth reflective sheen are now spiderwebbed with cracks. Caustic noise and uneasy dissonance have been front-loaded, with these elements sculpted into cruel new shapes. The title track gradually unveils a scratchy machines have taken over aesthetic. It repeats twice. While Hata Tuli features a gluey dubby riff that weirdly wouldn't seem out of place on an early Cypress Hill album, Ika Karm starts off by sounding like minimalist composer Arvo Part scoring a horror film, before such illusions are shattered by a series of grotesquely improper blarts. An album closer via Riva. Usva exhibits lurking synths. You might be wondering, how the fuck do I make my own shit if I'm reading all this, listening to these guys, all this other shit? Well, that's an interesting story, and it's gonna probably have to be revealed later. As right now, I'm just not able to quite articulate it, but I guess I can. I guess that right now, as I can read these things and still make my own original sounds. So I better live it up. I better enjoy it while I can, and all this other stuff. And blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Muntatuja can initially sound too scattered, too close to unraveling. It's like something wild and untrustworthy that doesn't seek your attention, but is willing to bite if your concentration wavers. This means it's perhaps an entry point if you're not yet fully immersed in the band's startling, sprawling work, but it's nonetheless a trip for those who've been wondering what the band might transform into next. That one track that I heard from these guys is got to have some commentary from other people. I tell you what, I can't do that. I can't listen to a lot of other people's commentary about it. And I also refrain from indulging in my own. But Swallow the Sun would be the next one that I'd read as well. Hell's Other People, The Hypothesis. All these guys pop up on all these guys pop up on your suggested feed. And some of these guys get interviewed by me on this show. So I have a job to do. And I don't like not commenting on when I mock myself about it, but hey, that's so it's so important. Every now and then I'm just mocking myself about this shit. Like, yeah, hey, let me just make sure I'm aware that I'm mocking myself about everything all the time. It's just one of the things that you Ethan Hawke training day have to fucking experience when you're doing this shit. Anyway, the fucking goddamn motherfucking other shit over here is this shit, Home Slice. That this Undeath Billboard chart reaching something and then getting an 8 out of 10. So don't hold too much on that rating of that 8 out of 10. You're going to absorb the stars, 8 out of 10 stars, 6 out of 10 stars, 5 out of 10 stars, 9 out of 10 stars, 10 out of 10 stars, whatever. But Undeath is on Billboard, and Oransii Pazuzu might be too. I'm just not sure. I'd have to check if I cared about Billboard charts, or if these guys cared about Billboard charts. Or if it's some kind of secret order. The secret order of people that care about Billboard charts. So here's live reviews with Soulfly. It's very important to stay active on your social medias. It's very important to interact, and it's very important to post regularly. Soulfly and Max Cavalera does. Go follow him, like him, comment on the stuff. But we've reached the end of the issue. Just a reiteration on Palladic Fest and a couple odds and ends articles here, like Oceans of Slumber, with the vocalist talking growling. The existence of God and Japanese rope bondage. Super interested in reading that. And that's the end of the album, guys. The end of the issue, guys. Bouncing on out. Mickey GemInEye Vault of Doom, episode 65, 64, 62, 64, 65, 63, 64, 65.
Bloodshed stain the blowing way with an decayed. Without a decayed.